It's the latest documentary on Disney Plus, but is it just a goof or is it something better?
We're going to talk about that on DadToons Reviews.
Right now.
DadToons Reviews, talking something new. DadToons Reviews, I'ma mention peer review. DadToons Reviews, we're talking about it all. Dubia being busy, Disney television, big and small.
All right, today we're talking about Not Just A Goof. The summary for this is a documentary exploring the untold story of a Goofy movie from 1995. It follows a young creative team tackling their first Disney feature, its initial disappointment, and its surprising resurgence decades later. So, Brady, what did you think? What were your initial reactions to this film?
So, just my overall reactions were I thought it was wonderful. I really enjoyed it. Just a little bit of context. A Goofy movie is one of my favorite movies. Has been since I was a little kid. So I was very excited to see this. And there were a lot of things about it that I was really surprised to see, that I was really excited to see. And I learned a lot. And this is kind of a movie that has been a little bit of a mystery, because it's like always been like, how did this movie come to be? It was very fitting that there's a documentary for it, and I was happy to watch it.
Yeah, my initial impression, it's very interesting how a Goofy movie over the years has stood on its own, kind of, like there's not a lot of things like a Goofy movie. Similar to you, it was one of my favorite movies growing up. Never owned it myself, but I would always watch it at a friend's house on VHS. I have a core memory of me having chicken pox, and I was hanging out at my friend's house because all of them in the house had chicken pox at the time, and laying on my friend's couch as he was at school, and just watching a Goofy movie, The Mighty Ducks, other things like that on VHS. So that's always going to be there in my core memories. Awesome. Yeah, it was really interesting to watch this and see a lot of behind the scenes footage that we hadn't seen before.
So this was directed by Eric Kimmelton and Christopher Ninnis. And it starts with them saying that they got access to the director of a Goofy movie, who happens to be one of the director's uncles.
Oh, very convenient.
So yeah, like in the first 5 minutes of the movie, I'm like, oh no, is this like the nepotism movie? And I don't think it did end up being that, but I definitely had that feeling, especially when he was like, we're going to go talk to my uncle, and who happens to have directed a Goofy movie and Tarzan, by the way, which... Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It seems to me like one of the things that stands out in this documentary is that Kevin Lima is very story driven, and that he likes to focus in on small stories, which made a Goofy movie work really well.
Yeah, and I think that is the big takeaway of this documentary, I think, is Kevin Lima and his passion, and just how he was so integral into making a Goofy movie what it was. And I didn't realize that, like, the fact that it's more of a movie and like less of a like made for TV movie, like the Proud Family movie, that's Kevin Lima. And Kevin Lima takes us into his storage area where he has all of his movie memorabilia, and he shows hundreds of VHS tapes of footage that he took during the making of a Goofy movie. And that makes up, like, I'd say about half of the content of this documentary. And it was fascinating.
Yeah, it was absolutely fascinating seeing him in the past and him today reacting to him in the past.
Yes.
And remembering how things went down and the things he was feeling at the time and the circumstances surrounding everything, and seeing it in a different perspective nowadays too.
It's a glimpse into the making of a movie, and especially a Disney movie, that you pretty much never get. Like, I loved, there was a scene where he was doing an interview, and he's filming the interview on his own camera, and they ask him about the animated series, and he's like, can we not talk about that? That's kind of difficult with the animated series people. And that was so cool to see that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad that one, it kept recording when he was talking about that, and two, that they had decided to keep that in there. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. That was really cool. And also it kind of answers a question that I've had about this, like, is a Goofy movie the Goof Troop movie or not? Because it seems like it is, but then it seems like it's not.
Right. And the answer is it is not. It is not a Goof Troop movie.
What makes you say that so confidently?
Oh, because they said it's completely different teams working on it. That was like you said, a sticking point, is a thing that they didn't want to address, they didn't want to really talk about. And then the fact that he was actually the third director choice in the list of directors to potentially direct this movie.
Yes,
so
this is
the first
another amazing thing about Kevin Lima is that he got to direct the movie because he said he wanted to be a director, and he ended up on this list.
Yeah, well, and the way he framed it too was that it was kind of like a long-term goal, that he wasn't sure at what point, he would be able to do that, because they had planned out 6 years in advance, who was going to be working on what. And but my point was, the first couple directors that they went to were very much focused on just doing gags the same way that they would do them in the TV show, and not focusing on what is the heart of this movie, which, that is eventually what they ended up getting to when Jeffrey Katzenberg came in, and he's like, no, I need to see, like, what is the heart of this movie? You guys need to identify it, or else this isn't moving anywhere. Yes,
the parts with Jeffrey Katzenberg, also fascinating. A really cool glimpse, because Jeffrey Katzenberg is somebody that you hear about all the time in relation to Disney, especially this era. He was largely he was a large influence on the Disney Renaissance even happening.
Yeah, not only that, but just like animation, that whole era of animation in general, because they get to the part where Jeffrey Katzenberg was let go halfway through this video, halfway through this documentary. He was let go, and then he went on, and they don't even mention it, but he went on to help found DreamWorks Animation, and then produce several different, some would say, copies of Disney and Pixar movies that were coming out. That's another interesting thing, that we see Jeffrey Katzenberg almost in a completely different light than people paint him usually. He's usually talked about very negatively, I feel like.
Well, I think you can see both points of view here, because he has a weird management style, that's for sure. He has a unusual management style. The way that he looks at their storyboards and just says, "No, this is all wrong. Is this all going to be just gags the whole time?" And that's how he tells them what he wants, So, but then it was after he was let go that they're like, oh, he was championing our movie, we were going to be in this many theaters. Our premiere was going to be in a big place, but now all of a sudden everything is smaller.
But thank God it actually got produced and, resulted in the way it resulted. Obviously it was competing with The Lion King, right? So internally, for resources, for one thing.
Sure.
And money and attention and all that.
For sure. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. And another crazy thing about the Jeffrey Katzenberg portion is when he suggests that maybe Goofy should be voiced by Steve Martin. I don't know that whole part.
I don't know if that was just a suggestion, somebody like Steve Martin, or if he was literally I've got Steve Martin on the phone. He wants to be a Goofy, and I want him to be Goofy.
I think if you're Jeffrey Katzenberg and you want Steve Martin,
you could definitely get Steve Martin. Yeah,
you can get Steve Martin. he would happily voice Goofy. I'm pretty certain of that. But I think it's telling that the next thing he did after this was make Ants, where the main character is voiced by Woody Allen.
You have Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because they told him this is a bad idea. They showed him this is a bad idea.
Yes.
And he agreed, and then he went to DreamWorks and arguably started the trend of celebrities voicing cartoons to get butts in seats.
Exactly. Well, I think that's a testament to Kevin Lima's excellent leadership behind the project. Like, that he was able to see that solution is brilliant. So he had the idea, okay, you want Steve Martin because he sounds more natural. He sounds less cartoony. Let's just have our Goofy guy do it in his regular speaking voice. A work of genius, I think, from Kevin Lima. Well, obviously this is a bad idea.
What else was he going to do? Like, that was his only option to try and keep the regular Goofy voice.
His other option was have Steve Martin do it, and I think a lot of directors would have chosen that. I mean, the director of Ants casted Woody Allen as an ant, which I guess he's an erotic Woody Allen type ant, but it takes me out of it, I guess.
I don't know. I haven't watched Ants in a long time, but I think the animation being so limited at the time probably takes me out of it more than it being Woody Allen.
Definitely the top 50 Woody Allen movies. Definitely. Top 50 for sure.
As far as things that I liked about it too, I thought the cutaways to when they're describing certain things happening in the past, they get into that concept art storyboard animatic style of drawing, and that animation is so good. It looks great. I love the fact that it just brings you into the world of creating a cartoon, and so those were really cool.
Yes, I loved that stuff. And so, like, one of my favorite parts was Bill Farmer in general is awesome. Like, watching him do the Goofy voice is so fun, just watching him do it. And he's such a cool guy. It was cool to kind of get to know him and to see his reaction, because I think we see his real reaction because they have it on home video. They have his real reaction of when they tell him they want him to do it in his regular voice.
Oh man, I forgot about that.
Yeah. And he's like, so you want me to do it just like I'm talking to you right now? And they're like, yeah. And he's like, no yuck? No.
Well, that's the funny thing. Bill Farmer's voice, he's already 90% there to Goofy. Yes. He really doesn't have to do much to get there.
That's right.
He's like, so you want me to say it in my real voice? And then it's like, so you want me to say it in my real voice? It's like, it's not that much different.
Yeah, that's true. And I think, again, that's like Kevin Lima saw that. And so does that mean that the whole recording exists? There exists a recording of Bill Farmer doing the whole script of the movie in his regular voice, and somebody could theoretically dub that into the movie, and we could have a version of the movie with Bill Farmer doing it in his
I don't think
voice.
They recorded the whole movie.
Okay,
I think they recorded a couple scenes, and then they showed Jeffrey Katzenberg.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah,
but yeah, I think Bill Farmer's a cool guy. Like, okay, we got footage of him today? Was he were there current scenes of him?
Yeah, I'm quite sure.
Yeah, there was him and the guy who plays Max.
Oh, he was really funny too.
It's interesting seeing them together now. It's kind of like seeing Christopher Lloyd and Marty McFly together now.
Yeah, where
Marty
it's
McFly,
kinda,
Michael J. Fox.
yeah.
It's like seeing those two together, them being older and just being kind of silly about it. There are certain people who like recreated scenes from the movie. Really, really cool stuff. There was like a high school that they'd gotten everybody in their like high school class together to recreate the song After Today. And that same person who made that original short ended up making a short like a couple years ago, maybe like 1 year ago, that actually had Bill Farmer and the guy who plays Mac. What's his name?
James Mars. No, not James Marsden.
It's almost like James Marsden.
Jason Marsden.
That's right.
He was so funny. And his voice hasn't changed at all since he was 12 years old. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh man. So when we're talking about like him being 12 years old and recording this, like him being an actual teenager recording this, and the girl who played Roxanne being an actual teenager recording this, there was like there was a lot of I think it's funny that they highlighted how awkward it was, the way that they created the romantic tension between the two. Because like so behind the scenes, they had them like actually kissing and everything, these teenagers. So that was kind of awkward.
I was going to talk about that. That scene made me feel uncomfortable in the ways you don't want. Like, because I was like, and Jason Marsden said, we're not adults. Because he was like, we're all adults here. And they're not all adults there.
Yeah.
And I don't know how necessary it was. And Jason Marsden says that he thinks they used that take in the movie. I'm pretty sure they didn't.
Yeah, let's just see this teenagers kiss real quick. It's very important. Yeah, so that was definitely awkward. But I like how they highlighted how awkward it actually was.
For sure, yeah. And they were so good. Both of those voice actors did such a good job, because it is weird, like you're cast in a Goofy movie, but you're supposed to act like it's like teen comedy, like it's like a John Hughes movie, and they nail it.
Let's get on to the fun facts section.
All right, it's time for fun facts. Is there a thing? Fun facts. Woo! All right, okay. So most of my fun facts come from this No Film School article where they interviewed the directors, Eric Kimmelton and Christopher Ninnis. And they said that the original intention was to make this movie all about the fandom of the Goofy movie. But when they talked to the director, his passion and the fact that he had a bin full of VHS tapes kind of made them change direction. But originally this was going to be like strictly like a fandom movie about like going to conventions and following fans and things like that. I'm glad it turned out not to be that.
I've definitely seen movies like that where the documentary is just all about how this movie is a cult classic and how it's, shaped the culture and all that. I feel like there's something like that for Rocky Horror Picture Show or something. I can't remember.
There's at least one Harry Potter documentary about that.
Yeah.
But this movie has a section about that, like kind of the last like 15 minutes is
it's kind of a smash cut.
Yeah, of like a big fandom thing, which I liked. I liked that they included that.
I thought they got a little too. They were a little too over the top with some of the clips that they put in there.
Yeah,
like a lot of people would just be, "Oh, it's my favorite. It's so emotional. It's so good."
Well, you gotta have that. You have to have that in your documentary about how cool your movie is.
Yeah, but it was kind of like 5 minutes of that. It was like each person was just almost saying the same things.
So original animation for this movie. So the sections that you were talking about earlier that kind of look like storyboards. The original animation was done by Venturia Animation Studios in Colombia. And the animation studio worked on it in Colombia. Colombia? Am I saying it right?
Colombia.
Yeah.
You know, I was just double checking because there's a few different Colombias, but yeah, Colombia.
It's the nation.
The country, yes.
Yes, in South America.
Okay. I wonder how much they were paid for it.
Well, they worked on deferred payment. They weren't paid up front. Only if the movie made a profit. So that's in the No Film School article. They say that.
That's not great.
Yeah, that's
it's
in
very
the no
good animation for them doing it for free.
Well, deferred payment, but I imagine consider this is a movie about the Goofy movie.
Yeah.
The director of a Goofy movie is highly involved in it. They probably knew they were going to get some kind of Disney Plus contract. So that was probably less of a risk than you might think. That's my first thought. But yeah, that also flagged me as being like, that's not cool. So they did it for free, crossing their fingers, hoping the movie would make money.
I mean, it's kind of the highlight of the movie too. I do think like the main meat of this is the camcorder footage, but like the animation really sells it.
They did a good job of kind of like replicating the Goofy movie style, but not like, it doesn't look like a ripoff. It still looks kind of original. Yeah,
it looks like it was drawn by the people who were drawing the storyboards that we see in the movie.
Yeah.
So hats off to you guys in Colombia. You did a great, fantastic work, and I hope you got paid appropriately for it after this Disney Plus edition.
I agree with that. Yes. Also from the No Film School article, after signing with Disney, they wanted to use When You Wish Upon a Star to close the film, the song When You Wish Upon a Star. But apparently, according to the article, Disney doesn't actually own the copyright to that song.
What?
So
who owns the copyrights?
I don't know. So they would have had to pay royalties. So they didn't use that. They rightfully, I think, didn't use that song in the movie.
Disney doesn't own the copyright?
This is from the No Film School article.
But this also isn't a Disney produced movie, right?
Yeah, that's right. So it's an indie film. So and they made it without any knowledge from Disney, although one of the directors is the nephew of the director of a Goofy movie, so I feel like he probably had an inside track, at least a little bit.
Yeah.
But they made it without any consent from Disney, and then they got it somehow. Were able to get it in the hands of a producer at Disney somehow.
Wow.
And
somebody works some magic.
That's right. And then they agreed to buy the film for Disney Plus. Oh, and another part that I really liked that we haven't talked about yet was all the stuff with the musician that they got to be Powerline.
Oh, yeah, that was super cool.
Because that guy is awesome. And that's another cool thing about a Goofy movie is like, if you have a movie where the characters are obsessed with a song, like the song has to be good or you don't believe that the characters like the song. So it's kind of hard to get that right, especially in a cartoon movie based on a TV series. But they got it exceptionally well. Like the Powerline songs in the movie are awesome. Like they're bangers.
I mean, the songwriting in a Goofy movie is absolutely exceptional overall. And that's one of the things that I wish they focused on more in this documentary. But I think it makes sense that they didn't, because it's more about, like we mentioned in the summary, it's more about focusing on the journey that the animators and the story writers were going through. I do think it would have been a relevant thing, though, to like interview the people who wrote the songs and such.
So we're officially in the Does It Work section.
Does it work?
Or does it not work? Is it good or is it a jerk? I don't know.
That's officially the song now.
Like, what's it trying to do? And I think it's trying to be a glorified DVD extra, kind of. Like, it's like a level up of DVD extra. it's like the DVD extra that comes on its own disc, you know, and it's like says limited time includes bonus documentary. It's like it feels like that. And judging it by that standard, I thought it worked very well. I thought it was great. It made me excited about a Goofy movie, which I think was its job, was to just get me excited about this 30-year-old movie. And it worked. And it was great to see all of the behind the scenes stuff from this movie I've seen 100,000 times. It was cool to see stuff that I hadn't seen yet.
Yeah, I wrote down that it was very effective at nostalgia bait.
Okay.
I love hearing the behind the scenes stories of what was happening while they were creating it from Kevin Lima, and the stuff that we didn't hear about Jeffrey Katzenberg before. I love all of that. And then again, I just love visualizing those stories with the concept art style. It just really worked for me. I do think it's it's an effective DVD feature, but I wouldn't want to purchase it separately.
Tangent. That's an interesting tangent that we could choose to go on, is that DVDs kind of aren't a thing like they used to be. Even like Blu-rays are less, like they rarely have audio commentary anymore.
Yeah, it used to be a whole experience.
Yeah, and it's not anymore. And I wonder if they've just taken that energy and put it into these Disney Plus documentaries to kind of fill out the documentary section of Disney Plus, but they can also still function as, if you really liked the movie and want to see more stuff about it, here's a video you can watch. You know,
speaking of which, that's a great point. I feel like I really wish that Disney Plus would include, in other streaming services, I wish they would include audio commentaries as an option for watching a movie.
So I'm old enough to remember a time when FXX, I think it was, FX had like a paid version, and if you paid for the paid version of FX, you could watch every episode of The Simpsons with audio commentary.
Really?
In the streaming app, and it was awesome. And then Disney had to go and buy The Simpsons, and then they put it on Disney Plus, and for a long time you couldn't even watch The Simpsons in the right aspect ratio. It took them like 2 years to fix it so that you could watch it in the correct aspect ratio. But so maybe someday they'll bring the audio commentaries back. But back when The Simpsons was on the FX app, you could watch them with the audio commentary. So don't let them tell you that it's not possible, because I remember possible. I was there.
So yeah, does it work?
I'd say yes. I'd say that it works. I'd say it was a little bit creepy to see the teenagers forced to kiss each other. I do. I agree with you. I wish they would have talked about the music a little bit more, because they kind of didn't really talk about it at all. There was some great footage of the dancers, which I actually thought was pretty cool. The way that they animated, like they did like shot by shot that final concert scene. They did like a live action version of it, basically. That was pretty cool to see.
Oh, I wanted to bring up real quick too. They had they were changing the songs as they were changing the story, and they show clips of a song that was taken out.
Yes.
It was the Bad Boy song.
Yes.
And it's very interesting how, in the final movie, there's that line where the principal goes, if you don't take care of your son, he's going to end up in the electric chair. But they actually have a whole song where they showed him getting strapped into an electric chair and getting electrocuted. And that was crazy. Wildly dark. It made it all the way to them. Like, they recorded the music. They did an animatic. That just blew me away.
I wonder if the song must have been like really awesome. Also, like it
sounded pretty cool.
Also, they clearly were trying to be like the edgy Disney movie a little bit. Like I've always said, I think A Goof Troop, the TV show, was kind of Disney trying to copy the success of The Simpsons, because The Simpsons was like an average family getting into average situations, and Disney was like, let's do a kids version of that and let's have Goofy be the star, because Homer is kind of like Goofy, or he's kind of like Donald Duck.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it.
So if you think of it that way, and also Goof Troop is a little bit edgier than your standard Disney cartoon show. Like it's got edgier jokes. It's a little more satirical, and the Goofy movie is totally that. And I think maybe they were just leaning a bit too hard into it with that Bad Boy song. They were trying to be too edgy, and they eventually figured it out
yeah, clearly they realized that it was a bad idea and didn't go through with it. But I was so surprised to see how far it actually got.
All right, so we're gonna give it a rating. We're gonna give it a rating on a scale of 1 to 10. Last time we did a letter grade. That's not precise enough. We want to be specific.
Yeah, and maybe we'll just change the rating system every single time we do this too.
Sure. Yeah. Whatever. It
depends on the movie.
Nobody's telling us what to do.
Yeah, nobody's even watching this, so it doesn't matter.
So we can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
So we're going to do numbers. So, Matt, Not Just a Goof, the documentary. No, I'm just kidding. It's a documentary. It's good. What's your score?
I think my score is, I'm going to go with a 7 out of 10.
Oh. Okay.
I think it was effective at what it did. I think it felt kind of small, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's good for this film, especially how small a Goofy movie technically was back then. So yes, 7 out of 10. I think it was great.
Okay. I'm going to give it an 8.5. Okay. I thought it was wonderful. I loved it's not going to win an Oscar for what it is, which is a movie on Disney Plus about a Goofy movie. It was wonderful. And all the stuff with the director, it was like inspiring, it was like, just try stuff and then stick to your vision, because he stuck to his vision the whole time. It was because of him that he was able to be part of directing the voices, which is unusual in television animation. So he kind of elevated it from being a television animation to feature animation on his own, like just his pure passion for the project. And it was cool to see. The parts of it that were annoying were minor enough. I would definitely watch it again. And then I would watch a Goofy movie shortly after.
Cool. Well, there was one thing that I wanted to bring up as well, and it's fitting because it was actually a post-credit scene. Did you see this? Do you hear about this? You know about this?
Yes, I've heard about it. I know about it.
The director goes, Would you make a Goofy sequel? And then director Kevin Lima goes, no. But there is a sequel. There's a sequel to a Goofy movie, and it's called An Extremely Goofy Movie.
Yes, I thought that too. Like, I'm confused. I guess it's not called a Goofy Movie 2, and it's not directed by Kevin Lima, right?
Yes, that is correct. It's not. It is not directed by Kevin Lima. It does have the same voice cast,
and it feels more like a TV movie. I don't know if it was, but it kind of feels like it was one more than a Goofy movie does.
Yeah. So it was distributed by Walt Disney Home Video. It was produced by Walt Disney Television Animation, which was a Goofy movie produced by Television Animation or no?
I think it was going to be, but Jeffrey Katzenberg's support of it made it.
Yeah. I think they elevated it to feature animation. An Extremely Goofy Movie I think it was released on home video. So yeah, it was never put in theaters.
So for a long time, if you were on a streaming service and you searched for a Goofy movie, the only movie they had available was an extremely Goofy movie for a long time. Like that was the movie that was on all the streaming services. So like if you were in the mood for a Goofy movie, you had to settle for an extremely Goofy movie, which isn't nearly as good. It's fine, but it's nowhere near a Goofy movie.
Yeah, I agree. I haven't watched it in a couple years either, but it definitely has the home video feel. Not as bad as some of the other Disney sequels, but yeah, I'm curious. What do you think if Kevin Lima was to do a sequel? What do you think? What do you think he should? What do you think it should be about?
I think it should be about, so now Max is a father. Max and Roxanne, not Max. Max marries Roseanne Barr. No.
Yeah.
No. So Max and Roxanne are married, which let's ignore the fact that it's a bad idea.
It'll be called The Goofs.
Oh, yes. Well, let's ignore the fact that it's a bad idea to marry your high school sweetheart. It is. Don't do that. But Max does.
She's also not in the sequel, so.
Oh, okay. So they hook back up after college. I like that.
They
better.
reconnect.
That's more appropriate. So now he has kids, and maybe Max's kids are the age Max was during a Goofy movie.
Okay.
So he is seeking advice from Grandpa Goof. And maybe he says, I remember that road trip we went on when I was 15. And my kids, he's all in his phone. My son and daughter are all in their phones all the time. They're on video games. They're on TikTok. So let's do an unplugged road trip just like we did. And let's go see Powerline. Powerline is doing a reunion tour. And the kids don't want to go see Powerline. They want to go see Lil Power. And he's got a show going on the other side of town. So they're going to try to sneak away to go to the Lil Power show, but then the adult goofs want them to go to the Powerline show. So that's the movie.
Okay, this is great. But this is kind of a little bit too much of like Star Wars The Force Awakens, where it's the same plot, just new. You got a couple new characters.
Well, but that would be good. No.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have to like age the characters, I think. But you could. Well, actually, they sound the same.
Now that Jason Marsden's voice sounds the same. Like maybe pitch it down a teensy tiny bit. Not even that much. A teensy tiny bit.
Well, we're definitely going to talk about it more in the near future, being that this is the 30th anniversary of a Goofy movie. So we're definitely going to be looking specifically at a Goofy movie at some point. So we will be talking about it more coming up soon.
Yes. So thanks again for tuning into DadToons Reviews. We're getting closer to the release of the thing. Like the video comes out closer to the release of the thing we're talking about.
Yeah.
So we're gonna keep doing that, and so you keep watching, and I love you, and I want to be your husband.
Same.
No, that's
marry us both
to all the viewers.
Have a good night.
No, I don't like that ending.
DadToons, grab a snack and you can sit down. Watch some daddies talking about animation now. Tell you what they like and what they also didn't too. DadToons about to hit you with a great review. Hey!